we know that the rescue effort at this point, state officials told us we're going to take several days. From the way things look, how widespread the damage is, how high the water is all over the area, 85 locations at least being impacted. This is going to be a multi-day rescue effort. We have no idea how many people are missing at this point. So there's really, I think,
what we do know is that at least, from Camp Mystic, at least 20 people are unaccounted for in the flooding. So we're learning then that could include, I guess, new information. We're just learning 4 young adults from the Beaumont area, 3 graduates of Monsignor Kelly High School. Also missing is a friend of theirs. These are just new images in from some of the missing from Beaumont. Again, these are loved ones. These are sons, these are daughters, these are nieces, these are nephews. As we're looking at these images for the first time, families, we're told, have been identified them as L.F. Hayhill, Aiden Hartfield, Joyson Baden, and Reese Moncheka. These 4 were last heard from about 4 this morning as they tried to get to a higher ground, as I'm reading here, on Highway 39. This is in Hunt.
And so far, every family that we have heard from is from out of town. They're all vacationers here for the 4th of July. So you're seeing a lot more people that are in this area than there typically is. You're not just looking at the local residents. It's a small population. Now you're looking at all the visitors are coming in from out of town. Beaumont for those pictures. And then Sue, we just heard from the family in Midland with now 4 people missing and 1 woman out of the family members making it. Where Megan is, a lot of these kids are, coming in from different places as well. So we're getting a lot of stories. Now we're beginning to see some faces and put faces to the numbers. And at this point, holding out hope. Hope is everything right now for these families to reunite and that these people will be found, Bill.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, man, my heart breaks seeing those faces. We're just going to keep praying. All right, let's take a look at the radar. The good news is the rain ending for now. I'm watching 2 little clusters you can see dropping just near Fredericksburg. Very heavy rainfall. This shows you that this atmosphere is far from dried out. We still have a lot of tropical moisture. We've got a lot of high dew point temperatures at the surface. And by tonight, the low-level jet returns. And that is a nocturnal weather feature at about 8,000 feet above the surface. That is a high wind speed, kind of a ribbon of air that moves right across this area and creates a tremendous amount of instability. And that's what leads to those heavy pockets of rain, that true rain bomb that we saw occur early this morning. So that's what we're expecting again overnight tonight. But right now, this heavy rain dropping in near Fredericksburg, this is a strong thunderstorm, and you can see the amount of lightning building. So this is actually strengthening and building as it drops to the south near Fredericksburg. Also, Marble Falls will be getting some pretty heavy rain. But for Kendall County, it's more light to moderate. This could be moving a little farther south. After moving through Fredericksburg, it could be into Kendall County. We're going to be keeping a close eye on that and closer even to Canyon Lake. But for San Antonio and some spots to the south, it's drying out. What got us here? Take a look. This is when the rain started and really just exploded at about 6 a.m. Look at that. Rain was already occurring, and then it just sat over Kerrville for so long that we get into those double-digit rainfall totals. You can see that this, again, is updating all the time, a continuous update. We're closer to 1 inch now at San Antonio International, over 3 near Fair Oaks Ranch, and then nearly 8 at Bandera. Now the bullseye remains west of Kerrville. The double-digit totals, nearly 1 foot of water came from the sky. You've got 6.5 near Bandera, 5 near Medina, Texas, and then you've got 4.5 plus near Bernie, and then east of Comfort, 7.5 inches. So that's why the Guadalupe River is the biggest concern, with the rising water heading towards Canyon Lake, and we still have a huge flash flood warning in effect for areas west of Kerrville, pretty much western Kerr County. If you're unfamiliar with the area, remember, we are in Bexar County, B-E-X-A-R, watch versus warning. A watch means exactly what the word says. We're watching as conditions are favorable for storm development or possible flooding. When we go to warning, that means the storm has moved in. The flooding is occurring in that area. Speaking of which, let me update you on what we've got with the river levels. At the Guadalupe River at Spring Branch, it's still rising. We're expecting major flooding at 37.2 feet at 3 a.m. Saturday. So after midnight is when the Spring Branch location of the Guadalupe River is going to crest at 37.2. At Bergheim, 41.85. Now, I could not find a flood stage for the Guadalupe at Bergheim, but if you remember 2018, the level got up to 39.02, and we're coming up on 42 feet, and it's cresting as we speak. So that's good news. It won't go higher unless we get a lot more rainfall tonight and tomorrow morning. I'll show you future radar in a moment. At Comfort, almost 35 feet. It's already crested. Flood stage 21. So look at that, almost 35 feet. And then at Kerrville, we've already crested at 23.4, but the flood stage is 9. This is incredible when you look at this number. The river rose, Guadalupe, 26 feet in 45 minutes. That is a higher level than the 1987 flood. And now there's more rain in the forecast. Here's what we've got for 3 a.m. and that crest at that hour, right? I just showed you. Well, you can still see rain falling over that spot. Okay, and as we work our way into the sunrise hour, this is 7 a.m., and we start seeing thunderstorms develop, and that's going to be near New Braunfels and Canyon Lake, and then pushing west into the city and the 281 corridor up into Kendall County and even into Blanco County. This is mid-morning now, and then Saturday afternoon, look at that. It just sits still. Okay, so you go from 11 a.m. where it's gotten really heavy. This is the 3 p.m. and it hasn't moved much. This could be 4 solid hours of very heavy rain in northern Bexar County up into Kendall County, clipping Kerr County, not hitting the bullseye I showed you, which is still out to the west, but awfully close. Remember, this is a prediction. It could happen there. It could happen here. But I'll tell you what, this model has done an incredible job in the last 48 hours. Most of it dying down as we get into the nighttime hours tomorrow. But we're looking at 4 solid hours of heavy rainfall tomorrow with that model prediction. Now, see, this is the difference. The second model, the graph, which I've leaned on a lot, during the spring weather events, the graph outperformed the HRRR. In this event, the HRRR is outperforming the graph. We look at all of these models, and these are the top 2. So here's 7 a.m. Saturday, and very heavy rain, Floresville up to Austin, then pushing into the city in the afternoon. And look, that was a very slow, that wasn't a lot. That was maybe 30 miles in the course of several hours. So that's very slow moving, and that's still very heavy rainfall rates. This is all tropical. So either way, here's what to take away. Both models agree we're going to get a burst of more heavy rainfall. The difference is just the timing and the exact location, but they're both within a county or 2 of each other. So we're still looking at the I-35 to I-10 corridor and really nothing south. If you're south of San Antonio, you're out of the woods on this, but it's really between I-35 and I-10 that we're expecting this burst of very heavy rain. This is the prediction for tonight on the Severe Prediction Center's flood outlook. We're in a level 2, a slight risk, and then a marginal risk south of the city into Atascosa County, Wilson County. Tomorrow, a marginal risk with the slight risk up towards Kerrville. This is Saturday, and about half, almost 2/3 really, of Kendall County. Now, don't get lost in these words. Marginal and slight doesn't sound serious, but when you're talking about a 1 and a 2 level out of a possible 5, 5 is the top. 1 or 2 is significant. Slight is significant. Here's the latest numbers on what we're expecting in the gauge, and this has been improving with every run. This keeps dropping in Kerrville, and that's really good news. Now, just about 3 hours ago, this was at 1 1/4 inches. It's now down to 5/100. So significant change with the model really zoning in on most of the rain from San Antonio up the I-35 corridor, 2 3/4 up to 3 inches New Braunfels, almost 4.5 between San Marcos and Austin. That would be good in the sense that if it all falls here, it's not falling here, okay? Because they could probably handle a lot more rain than Kerr County, Kendall County, even Medina County. Outside right now, we're pretty socked in here in the city. Temperature is at 80. Light rain continues to fall in San Antonio, dew point 77. Tropical, just does not change. And remember, this is not a cold front, so we don't change air masses. We continue to see southeast winds pour in a lot of this moisture, although we're getting a little bit of a northeast wind right now. 75 Bandera, Bernie, 80 at Timberwood Park, as warm as 86 at Pleasanton. We're starting to cool down now. We were closer to 90 about 2 hours ago for Floresville and Stockdale. All right, if you're heading out, I just got off the phone with Bill Drain. Bill Drain is my man, executive producer of a lot of our city events. So I reached out to see about the Woodlawn Park firework and celebration for the 4th, as well as the Alamo celebration at 9:30. 9 p.m. Woodlawn Park, 9:30 at the Alamo. Everything is moving forward as planned. Now, if you're heading out there, it looks like it'll be dry. It will be cloudy. It'll be humid, and I'm hoping for these winds. I know that can be a detriment with fireworks, but with the flooding, we need some winds. We're not going to see skies clear out. So because of that, we're not expecting the sun to help us. It's going to be the wind that really dries us out. And so that'll be a significant help. We could start seeing the rain develop again as early as midnight, but as I showed you, the models are leaning more towards middle hours of overnight, but it's definitely going to be a possibility as soon as we get into the midnight hour. Over the weekend, we're still expecting heavy rain on Saturday, 50% up until the mid-afternoon, 90 maybe. And then we're dropping rain chances for Sunday as we hit about 93, and we should get some sunshine. 14-day forecast. All of tomorrow now is going to be a weather impact alert because we've got a 40 to 50% chance of rain, and additional flooding is a concern, 89. Sunday, 93. And then a slight chance of an isolated shower Monday, Tuesday. Weather impact alerts for Thursday, Friday will be with Saharan dust. That's going to be on the 10th and the 11th. All this moisture has been keeping that dust at bay, but now we see it return once we start drying out and warming up. Henry, it looks like, again, we're going to have to prepare for more rain overnight tonight and early Saturday. We're not done just yet. We're
Not
going
in
to have
the
to watch
clear,
closely.
but we need the winds. Thanks so much, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Before I toss it out to Vanessa, who's in Kerrville, I just want to mention this because the city of Kerrville is asking the people there to minimize the water usage right now. That's non-essential. This is, again, another just rippling effect of what we're seeing with this devastation out there. Now let's go to Vanessa Croy, who's been in Kerrville all throughout the day. Vanessa, still just incredible images right behind you. When you think, I mean, that's supposed to be a park. This is where Independence Day and families, hundreds of families, are supposed to be out right now celebrating. And look at it.
Someone just commented to me, Henry, a few minutes ago, what a 4th of July. We're usually out here watching fireworks tonight. This seemed to be the spot where many neighbors are coming to just check out what it looks like out here, and also sharing stories of lost loved ones and just gut-wrenching stories of harrowing survival. In fact, one man just told me that his friend went down to move his car overnight and the water was at his ankles, and by the time he walked down 3 or 4 steps, it was at his chest. First responders were able to rescue that man, but many others, as we're learning, have lost their lives out here. Let me give you a look at what we're looking at, the destruction we're seeing on the Guadalupe here. We're at Hayes Park. You can see the massive trees just completely plowed over. In fact, we just saw a huge tree that was completely uprooted that was traveling down the river. It's coming from the Ingram area downstream here to the park and under the bridge. You can see these trees, bark completely ripped from them. Somebody told me earlier that it was just so sad to see this. They spend every 4th of July out here with their family for the last 30 years, and this is the first one they've ever not been able to. He even said that this is the worst he's ever seen it in decades. And you can see how high the water still is. It has started to recede a little bit. We can see where what was once a parking lot here at Hayes Park, the concrete completely uplifted, uprooted, and just lying like puzzle pieces along the banks of the river, a light pole down. In fact, let me ask Gus to show you right here with the camera. We are in the parking lot right next to the VFW hall, and you can see where here, this was used to block off the traffic here, and it was completely plowed over, the water coming into the parking lot. The VFW hall telling me earlier that they have inches of mud and debris in their facility, and it's just heartbreaking out here. Everyone just completely devastated, and a long road for this community of recovery. And Henry, we've talked all day about these communities from Ingram, Hunt, Comfort here in Kerrville. They're spaced apart, but they're still one strong community lending a helping hand to help each other. And that's the other spirit that we're seeing out here, everyone wanting to help. In fact, the VFW, this is their big fundraiser on the 4th of July, and they had $2,000 worth of food, and they told us that they took it right over to the Methodist Church to help those people who had to evacuate their homes. So a long road to recovery here, and our thoughts and prayers are with this community. Henry?
Absolutely, Vanessa. You and I are both from very small rural communities. We know what these people are going through right now. We all know one each other, and so we're all giving you a hug right now. Yeah. Vanessa, thank you for that report. I want to go to Elisa Nieves, my colleague, who's also in Kerrville, not far away, I understand, from Vanessa. So, Alicia, good to see you. Are you safe, and what are you seeing?
We are safe. We would not want to jeopardize. Unfortunately, we're seeing wherever this flooding is today, people trying to get the best angles, but we are not getting as close as we've seen some of these videos, Henry. But we are right in front of the Guadalupe River. I am downstream from where Vanessa is at Louise Hayes Park. This is Veterans Highway and Riverside, and this is just a completely different sight than it was, say, at 5 a.m. There were trees right here. We wouldn't be able to see these rushing waters early this morning before these rains arrived, but you can see the tree line, all of the trees snapped. The water was nearly up to the top of the bridge at around 6 a.m. this morning. And with a front row seat to everything that was happening was Miss Candace. Candace, come on in. Thank you so much for your time. You could see what was happening from your front porch, but it wasn't the rains that woke you up, right? It was a power pole that snapped, that fell?
Yes, it was a pole that had about 3 transformers on it, just on the other side of our block. The crash of that was what woke me up, and then it was just dead silent. What got me out of bed was the sound of wood breaking. I thought maybe it was the oak branches that were sitting over my car, so I was like, okay, I gotta go move my car. And I get to the door and I see that. So I go and I wake up my husband. It's like, Tobin, look, you gotta look at these floodwaters. You gotta look at these floodwaters. And he's like, oh, it's just another flood. And so he goes out, he comes back in, he's like, we gotta go. And so it was pretty scary. We're gathering up supplies and making sure I've got the diapers and the wipes and the insulin and everything we need. The dogs, the cat, get everything loaded up into the minivan. And as we're about halfway through that, Kerrville Police Department comes knocking on our door. Hey, you guys got to evacuate. And I was like, we're already on it, buddy. It's like, just tell me where to go.
So you took the time to make sure you had everything you needed, and it was just in the nick of time because the water was approaching your front rock fence there, right?
Yes. By the time it was all said and done, my husband came back after the waters had receded a bit, and he could see flood debris all the way up to the retainer wall for our yard.
Well, thank goodness you're okay, and I'm glad that your children, both furry and human children, are okay. Candace, you were mentioning how right behind me here, a lot is here that shouldn't be. We have power lines. We have a power pole over here. Can you tell us about how there was a power line across the river that snapped this morning?
Oh, yeah. As long as I have been in Kerrville, which is my entire life, there has been a power line that goes across the river. There's been, for years, you could watch the fishing line that got caught on it just waving in the wind. The floodwaters got so high that the debris caught that line and pulled it, and that tension is what snapped that pole that woke me up. As we were leaving, we had to drive over live power lines because there were two poles that were down on this side of Veterans Highway, and then there were 3 on the opposite side, which is where we had to go. So we were dodging poles, right, going over power lines. There's a power line in my front yard right now. I'm not sure if it was K-Pub or Hill Country Telephone, but they cut the wire on both sides of the river to keep further damage from happening because it was just pulling them down left and right.
And you still don't have power at this hour?
Correct. We are still without any power.
Well, Candace, I'm just glad you're safe, and thank you so much for letting us know where the safe place is to stand right here, and thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. So right behind me, guys, is Kerrville Shriner Park. That's on the other side of the Guadalupe River. They were booked for July 4th. They have several cabins that were going to be full. They had campers. We saw some of the tents there still today, but when we checked on them, it was empty, right? Because earlier this morning or last night, the park host tells us that they cleared the campers to another section of Kerrville Shriner Park, more on the hillside to where they are on higher ground and they're safer. But a lot of people with July 4th plans plan to be right here behind me, including Preston and Ty. Hello, gentlemen. Preston, you're a student at Shriner. Can you tell us, you woke up to a lot of phone calls this morning?
Yes, I did. So I woke up, 50 plus phone calls, my whole family, just worried about my safety. And I'm just like, what is going on? And I did not prepare for this today. None of us knew really what was going on. Up until I called him, even my mom called him. And he's just a buddy of mine here,
So, Ty, when your mom is checking up on everyone, you all were mentioning to me off camera, you didn't realize how severe things were when you woke up this morning. When you learned the news, how did you feel having lived in Kerrville for so long?
So I actually live downstream. I live in Center Point, which is a much smaller town, maybe 10 minutes away. And I didn't think it was going to be a big deal at all. I planned on going tubing today. And whenever I woke up, I was like, it's probably not that big of a deal. Then I saw missed calls from his mom, from friends, from my parents, trying to make sure that I was okay and just making sure that I wasn't going to be going out and, getting involved in whatever's going on. So.
And now you all are out here along the Guadalupe River where you were supposed to be today, having fun, kayaking, doing things on the river. To see this site today, what do you make of something that many people are telling us, I have never seen this before?
It's
Absolutely.
devastating.
It is devastating, a sad sight to see. Like you mentioned, we were all supposed to be out here. Now we're out here just worried about everyone's safety. And, we're praying, hoping everyone's all right.
Yeah, I grew up on the river in Canyon Lake on the Guadalupe River, and I have been evacuated from my house multiple times throughout my life, and I've never seen it quite this bad. This is really, really bad. So like you said, prayers go out to the people of Kerrville, prayers go out to the families of all the children that were staying in Camp Mystic, and prayers go out to all the emergency responders that are out here trying to help people.
Thank you both so very much for your time. I appreciate it. I'm glad y'all are safe and you decided to stick around. Thank you. I do also want to mention the 4th of July celebration that was supposed to take place at Louise Hayes Park, obviously canceled for today. We've been reporting that. But the people in charge of this celebration have created a reunification center at the Arcadia Live. That's an event center right around the corner from Louise Hayes Park. And they have been receiving so many calls throughout the day from people wanting to help. Hey, what can I bring? They had so many generous people call today that they've also set up a donation center. So if anyone in the Kerrville area affected by this flooding needs clothes, water, food, some shelter, some power to charge your cell phone or computers, that is another good resource to have. And they're connecting with other shelters in the area. They've started a Google spreadsheet, making sure, okay, if this person is missing, we found him here, we'll update the spreadsheet. So it's really a last minute creation of these command centers, really, and people working together to make sure everyone who is unaccounted for is accounted for. It's just wonderful to witness the community here in Kerrville that's always existed but is especially evident today.
So, Alicia, for those folks who are watching, you mentioned the reunification center out there. There's actually two of them. There's the one in Kerrville, Arcadia Live, and then there's the Ingram Elementary in Ingram. Those are the two reunification centers that have been set up. One of the things you mentioned earlier as well, the amount of people that are stepping up to help in different ways, Alicia. I know I had a viewer from Kerrville reach out to me earlier. She said she was there during the 78 and 87 floods, and that today was probably worse than those floods at the time, and that a lot of people are stepping up to help, mentioning Shriner Diner opening its doors to serve meals. So if you want to pass on the word to others who are out there or maybe looking for a place. We also know that Southern Baptist Disaster Relief is coming in town to provide a lot of that relief as well. So Alicia, thank you so much for that update out there from Kerrville right now. We do want to check in with Megan Reyna, who has been on the scene of Ingram High School. That is where a lot of the rescues of those Camp Mystic girls have been happening. This is where they've been landing. They were picked up, landing in that area outside of Ingram High School to be transported buses to the other area reunification center. So checking in with Megan, what's the latest, Meg?
Hi, yes, it's the same operation that we've been seeing for more than an hour now. What you're watching right now is another helicopter landing in front of the high school with what we're assuming is a group of girls. We have seen more adults that have been coming out of the helicopters because we're assuming, of course, the priority is getting the youngest children out first, and then, of course, going and making sure that they're taking the adults as well. But we are, watching live right now to see who comes out of this helicopter. This has been such a phenomenal job by all of the first responders to get these children, the campers, and the staff out of Camp Mystic. They have been stuck there for more than 12 hours. I'm sure that they, of course, went to a higher ground, but nonetheless, they're having to be rescued by a helicopter. We were actually going to head down there to closer to the campsite to see it for ourselves, but then we ran into this site and we had to stop, and we're like, there's something going on here. And so we knew that this was absolutely necessary to watch. And what are you seeing right now, Irissa? Because I know several kids and teenagers. Several kids and teenagers coming off. Then we were seeing probably like 8. There's a lot on this that were on this helicopter. Just take a moment to watch these children come off. What they're going to be medically evaluated at this high school, and they're going to have their photo taken. That's what we've seen from the first responders. And then they're going to be loaded onto a school bus and taken to that reunification center, which is at the elementary school just down the road, where so many parents are waiting to be reunited, to be able to hug their loved ones, to hug their babies and just be able to be reunited. And I know this has been a nightmare for those parents, many of them from out of town, probably the majority of them from out of town, I'd say, because looking online, Camp Mystic is a popular, well-known camp that girls attend from across the state, Dallas, Houston, West Texas, across the state. So we have parents from all over that had to wake up to a terrifying news and rush down here and try and make sure that their child is safe. There's another helicopter that is coming in. I mean, this has been a very quick and swift system and operation that they have here, having these helicopters come, land, drop the kids off, have them evaluated, have them taken to their parents, and then they get right back up into the air and go pick up another group of people. And we know that there's been, I mean, from what we were told from the lieutenant governor, I think 10, 13, 15 helicopters that they've deployed in Kerr County. We've definitely seen, it's kind of hard to count exactly how many are coming in and out because they look so similar. But we've seen about at least 5 helicopters that have been used here in this operation to help get all of these campers and the staff out of Camp Mystic, which just for the people that might be just joining us in, that's near Hunt, Texas, which isn't too far from where we're at. We're at Ingram right now, off of Highway 39, and then just Hunt is just down the road, just a little bit, I would say, to the west of where we're at, not far. And so they're just coming back and forth consistently to make sure that those campers are safe. We do have to point out 23, according to the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, 23 campers or people from Camp Mystic are unaccounted for. And we have seen several posts on social media from parents who are asking and pleading with anyone with information to call them. They're putting their personal numbers on the social media to the world because they're so desperate for answers. And we can only assume that's because they were told by the Camp Mystic officials that their child is one of the unaccounted, because the ones that we were told, those parents were notified. If they were unaccounted, they were notified. And the parents that didn't receive that phone call, they were then urged to show up and to the reunification center and are now being reunited with their child. And we have been watching this go on for more than an hour, but it could have been going on before that. That's just when we finally, were able to make it down here and witness this operation unfold. I also want to mention we've seen several military cargo trucks drive in and out or back and forth, I can assume from the Hunt area to Ingram on 39, full of people on the back of the cargo trucks. And they look like families. So maybe not necessarily from Camp Mystic, but from other areas. So while we're focusing on this specific rescue mission at Camp Mystic, there are so many different missions going on across Kerr County in the Hill Country right now on the foot. We've seen several rescue boats drive by, rush by, and so this is an ongoing situation unfolding that all hands on deck, boots on the ground to try and make sure to get as many people to safety as possible while we have a break in the rain, might I add, because that has been very welcomed. Very nice to see a break in this rain. However, I will, as we see this helicopter get back up in the air, which it's going to go probably, we can assume, just right back over to the camp. Just pan over real quick, Irissa, if you could, to the river, because it's still raging. The Guadalupe River is still raging, even with this break in the rain. And yes, it has receded. And because it's receded a bit, we're seeing the damage and the debris left behind. But this is just showing you just the power of this water and how dangerous it can be, and how important it is to get people away from the river as quickly as possible with what Bill Taylor was mentioning, another chance of another round of rainfall. And that is, the last thing these first responders need. So I know right now is crucial for them, because this is the time that they can really focus on getting as many people to safety as possible. And that includes all of those young girls, ages 7 to 17 at Camp Mystic. We know that camp can hold up to 700 girls at a time. We're going to continue to stay out here, of course, and follow these developments here. The helicopters just left, so it is quiet now. But we'll continue to, just stay out here and explain what we see, at least.
All right, Megan, thank you for